Hi, this is Coach Bishop, Robert Bishop. I'm the host today of the Coach Bishop Show and Podcast. We're pretty excited about today. We're going to have a wonderful interview with a beautiful lady that's running for Lieutenant Governor. Miss Ebie Lynch is in the building. And again, as I said, she is running for the California Lieutenant Governor's position. And we're so happy to have her here today.
Thank you.
How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm well.
Pleasure.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure
Thank you
and
for
an honor.
thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
having me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We wanted to just get right into it, and want to start by asking you tell us a little bit about your background, and I know our audience wants to know what what's your plan for us here in California.
Well, thank you, Coach Bishop. That's a great question because I want the opportunity for them to get to know me. So my name is Ebie Lynch, and I am currently running for California Lieutenant Governor in the 2026 primary race. And, well, my background is simple. I am like most Californians. I think most Californians have a background that started in immigration. My parents immigrated to this country, and I was originally born in Nigeria, but came here with my father when I was 4 years old. Yeah, and I tell people all the time that most of my Nigerian friends don't even count me as a Nigerian because I've been here all my life. I went to Crenshaw High School.
Oh.
Yeah, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. LA was my home, and then I decided, well, actually my mother and my older brother decided for me that I should join the military because when I was younger I wanted to be an actress, and most people in LA that's
what they want to do.
That's what they want to do, right? And but my mom said, not my daughter. So my mother and my brother got together and said, oh, you can be an actress in the military. And I said, really? And I went in open general, and for people who are in the military, they understand what that means. That means you go in and then you choose your job once you get there. Well, yeah, there weren't any acting jobs, so. But it's okay, because I spent 24 years in the military, and I learned some great skills. Yes. And
so, with that experience and everything, and coming back, and that's news. I didn't know you were from South Central.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We got South Central in the building, but we also the reason that's significant for me because I have a little history with Crenshaw.
Okay.
Maxine Waters. In fact, her son was the head basketball coach, boys coach, when I was the head coach at Alameda. Him and I, we developed a great relationship.
Okay.
So that's my experience with Crenshaw and that prominent family.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's your motivation? What motivated you to want to run for Lieutenant Governor of California?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, there were quite a few reasons. The main reason was because for me, this is a calling. This is a calling from God, and I don't know if the rest of you feel it, see it, experience it. But there's a transformation that's happening right now, especially in those areas, in those communities that are traditionally underserved. I see that God is bringing up, nudging leaders to take positions of leadership within our communities. Because for far too long, we used to say, oh, those people didn't give us, those people need to do, those people. And I think God's waking us up. There's a revival where we are now understanding that it's up to us. Mm-hmm. We can't wait for someone else to bring the change. We have to be the change within our community so that our children can understand that they can do it.
That's right. I always say that, in order to have change, you have to be part of the change, and you have to make those changes within yourself and your communities. You can't wait for anybody to do that. So I certainly share that sentiment with you. I find it pretty profound for you to. I mean, that's a big step. I mean, we're not talking about just a local position. We're talking about the lieutenant governor. That's quite a vision for you to have, and I'm extremely very proud of you for that. Tell me this: what are some of the key issues facing California today?
So, we have quite a few issues here in California that I think that if you ask somebody from Northern California, it may be different from their key issues may be different from some, compared to somebody from Southern California. I think that what it really gets down to it is we need leaders that are accountable to the voters.
Right.
And I say that because there's quite a bit of mismanagement and misappropriation of our funds. We should never have $73 billion in surplus money and then not know where
what
it
to
would,
do with it.
where it went.
Oh, okay, I got you.
When we ask our leaders, where did the money from the homeless coalitions go? We set aside so much money to tackle the issue of homelessness. And a few years later, no one knows where billions of dollars went. Yes, that should never happen, especially when we still have homelessness, when we still have crime, when we still have high cost of living. We need to have leaders that are accountable to the voters and understand that they are stewards of other people's money.
Right, it's interesting. So tell me what your plan is to deal with that issue, right? What's your goal in that, and how do you see that you could help in that area if you're elected in that position?
So one of the first things that I do is take personal accountability. And how I do that is that I stay as grounded as possible to my Lord and Savior every day. There's a growing sentiment within government and in our world where we've taken God out of everything and look where it's gotten us. So I want to go back to the basics, go back to what we know works. It works because God ordained it, right? We know that when we teach our children godly principles, they grow up with godly principles. When they take jobs, they take those principles into those jobs. We have to teach our children from a young age right from wrong and give them the principles that are going to help not only themselves but our communities.
Right.
And then I want to make sure that we're giving those communities the resources that they deserve because it's their money, right?
Yes.
Taxes are so that we can be able to take the money and redistribute those monies back into the communities that need them. We haven't been doing a good job of that. So I want accountability and transparency to be paramount and first for all issues, not just homelessness, but every single issue across the board.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because we also often talk about economic recovery, right? So right now with mismanagement of funds and not knowing where funds are being allocated and things of that nature, what do you see your plan is to ensure that those funds are being, economic recovery is happening, where we're able to get those funds designated to the right places,
right,
and not and have a strong accountability. If elected, what's your position on that?
So my position is we need to make sure that before we allocate funds that everybody has a place at the table. Because traditionally, underserved communities didn't even know about the funds and how to obtain them. We want to make sure that we have training for small businesses and training for jobs that traditionally people have said, oh, we don't want. Why wouldn't we want them? The trade jobs that are out there right now pay the most and require the least education, right? Because they're common sense jobs. And not only that, you can be your own boss in a trade job.
Yes.
So we have to allocate funds into things that are going to help the communities first. But right now, I believe that we're allocating funds to help individual corporations, and those corporations don't always put back into our community.
And really don't need the help.
Right.
And most of the corporations are already funded properly, and
Yes.
have the necessary tools to be successful. So I agree with that. I think that it has to be more accountability, and there has to be more funds allocated to what I would say a disadvantage.
Yes.
Not just African American communities, but all communities of color that are affected by misuse of funds, or not. You go and apply for a grant, they just overlook you. You don't get it, but they're still giving it to big conglomerates who really don't need the funding.
Right.
So I think it's important to really take a dive into where these allocated funds are going.
Most definitely, Coach Bishop, and I agree with you in your agreement with my proposal. And I think that once we educate people and give them the proper training, they're going to be able to help themselves. I don't believe that government's role is to coddle our communities for the rest of their lives. I believe government's role is there to support the communities, to make sure that they have their own visions for their communities, and then help give them the resources to obtain those visions.
And I think we touched a little bit earlier before we started, and we talked about education.
Yes.
And I think education play a vital role in our communities. And from an educational standpoint, where do you see us at educationally, and what is your strategy to improve the education sector? Because, as you know, there's a lot of talk about, abolishing Department of Education. And, I'm a strong opponent of keeping education intact and strong, because, I have 3 degrees, and I was able to obtain those degrees. And without those degrees, I don't know where I would be. So again, we do support vocational training and trades and things of that nature, but also keeping kids in school, making sure they're able to afford the highest level of education.
Most definitely. I support education, and I support alternative education too. We've boxed ourselves in saying that people should be educated the same. Well, no one is the same.
Yeah, we don't learn the same.
We don't learn the same, we don't think the same, we don't behave the same. We are different. We have nuances that help flavor our country, flavor our state, flavor our cities and our county, right? And the experiences that we bring to the table help us to be able to come up with innovative ideas. So for me, education is about growing that individual's opportunities so that they can decide for themselves what area in life that they want to be able to focus on and thrive in. Mm-hmm. So I believe in giving parents the ability to choose whether they want traditional education or non-traditional education. So I believe in parents' choice for education. I believe that people have to be able to fit education into their lives instead of them fitting into the educational frameworks that the counties, the school boards, and so forth have created.
Yeah, I think that people's needs are different.
I agree.
And what I might need educationally may not be what you need. And
Exactly.
I think that as a professor myself, I know when I'm dealing with the 65 students that come into my classroom, that all those students are not going to get and grasp the way my teaching style, or even grasp or have a strong understanding of what it is that I'm teaching. So I believe that we have to do something in terms of being able to reach those students who may not be able to learn like maybe you and I learned. And so the challenges are tough. The road is tough ahead in terms of just being able to continue to educate our students and our children. So for me, I'm just a strong proponent of learning various styles of teaching and giving teachers adequate help, get more assistance in. There's more students than there are teachers. So at some point, our teachers are at a disadvantage. What do you think about that strong disparity in terms of teacher and student population?
Well, you know what? There was a time when we didn't when we didn't have the current school systems that we have, and people still learned. We have to think outside the box and sometimes go back to the basics. We used to have parents who taught their children. We used to have community members who taught children. And I understand the need for teachers who specialize, but in areas where the specialization isn't as needed, we should have community members that come and volunteer to teach.
Yes.
We should have other individuals bring the grandparents, the older generation, back into the schools. We have to come back and become communities again, instead of fractured groups that once in a while come together. We have to know who our neighbors are. We have to know what the issues are within our own streets, our own blocks, so that we can be able to say, oh, I feel comfortable in going and volunteering at the school today.
Yes, yes.
And then the kids will understand that these are people who are part of their community.
That look like them.
And yes.
Now, I'm a big proponent of that as well. I think the disparity in teachers, in terms of teachers that look like the student population. I think we're behind in that area, and I think we need to get back to that in terms of just making it a level playing field, so that students don't feel that even though I go to school and we're pushing them to go to school, they don't feel that connection, right? Because they don't see enough of them that can relate to them and their struggles and stories prior to coming to school.
Right.
And so I think that's important.
But Coach Bishop, that also takes us parents going into the schools. If we want our children to see more people who look like us, then the ones who look like us need to go into the school and be present. And sometimes that means you're not going to get paid. It's okay to volunteer.
Yeah, volunteering is very much needed.
Yes.
And so as it relates to climate control, right? There's a lot of talk about climate control and things of that nature. But tell me what your plan is to combat the climate control issue going on in the United States right now.
So I think really what we need are some common sense initiatives. We can say, oh yes, we're going to have everybody stop throwing away their trash a certain way. Well, that may not really work for everybody, and it may not even work for the environment. We have to stop having a one-size-fits-all type of legislative body. We can't legislate our way into a better environment. Everybody has to do their part. If you know that, it could be something as simple as, hey, I'm not going to take my used oil and throw it down into the garbage, right? Because we know that used oil, once it seeps into the soil, it does certain things that then
gets into the environment.
Everybody took the time to do one thing different, we would have a better environment. Instead of waiting for government to do it, understand that we are the government. And so I want to empower communities to do what is necessary within their community, instead of waiting for the higher level government to bring something down. Let the communities decide what is necessary for their own individual communities.
So do you intend to support substantial practices to bring about effective change in that area?
When you say substantial practices,
just new approaches to saving climate control.
I'm always open to new approaches, because new approaches are what bring innovative ideas. And if you tell people that you don't want to hear their ideas, then we're not going to get the initiatives that we've gotten in the past 50 years, such as AI and Tesla's the electric vehicles that we now have, and so forth. Is it good for everybody? No, but if it's not for you, don't use it. However, we also have to understand that we can't have a broad stroke type of initiative because, like we said, not everything works for everyone.
Yes.
So common sense initiatives are what we need.
Common sense initiative. You heard it right here. Common sense initiatives. And while we talk about common sense initiatives, I wanted to talk a little bit about healthcare access.
Okay.
Right? And tell me what your position is. What do you envision going forward with the healthcare system as it is right now? And what's your plan to kind of ensure that every California can get healthcare?
So healthcare, first we have to understand that healthcare in California, the access to healthcare is there. It's the level of access that we are speaking of. And I am a big proponent of understanding what the individual small towns need. Because when we, at the higher level of government, when we decide that we're going to send down an initiative, it doesn't always work well at the lower levels. I'm about making sure that we start from the lowest level and work our way up. Why? Because that's how you catch the needs, the true needs of the people within those communities. So we start by having community forums where people understand what is out there, what the needs are, and then building from there. Because if you start by saying, okay, we're going to just build more hospitals, well, maybe they don't need hospitals, maybe they need clinics. Or if we say, we're going to build more clinics, maybe they need more ERs and they don't need clinics. So it's about starting from the communities, working our way up, and then giving them the resources that they need for their plans.
So with that being said, right, do you see that as something that you would tackle by way of surveys? I mean, how do you find out really what the actual needs are? Do you do it by?
Well, we do have the infrastructure already. We know that we have city mayors, we have county supervisors who get this information and who have town halls and so forth. They can be able to send the information to the higher levels of government that says, okay, well, this is the information we got from our constituents, and these are our needs. And that's the way government is supposed to work.
Okay.
So it's supposed to start from the lowest level and then work its way up, and then the funds are supposed to be allocated down. However, the funds get allocated up and then we don't know where they go from there. So
it's another accountability issue here.
It's accountability. So we want to make sure that those funds are going to where they're supposed to go, the needs of the common everyday people.
Well, that's interesting that you want to balance the books, and you want to make sure that there's accountability.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that's happening in our county right now with Jason Lee, and he's doing a pretty good job in terms of ensuring that there's accountability, and that's really a big issue.
Right.
With doing accountability. What I think we'll take a quick break. Okay. And get some water in our system, and then we'll come right back with another series of questions for the lovely Miss Ebie Lynch, y'all. Running for Lieutenant Governor in the state of California, y'all. Y'all come out wherever she's at and go support Miss Lynch. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right, we're back with the Coach Bishop Show, and today we have our guest, Miss Ebie Lynch, and we're ready to go. All right. Miss Lynch, you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready to go.
I'm
okay.
ready.
Miss Lynch, I wanted to talk to you about the plaguing issue we have, not just in the city of Stockton, but in California as a whole, and that's the homeless issue. Can you talk to me about what your plans are to help with the homeless crisis plaguing California?
Most definitely, Coach Bishop. So when we talk about the homeless issue, what I realize is that we have lumped multiple issues under one umbrella, the umbrella of homelessness. And we have to first understand that there are different needs within the homeless community. And some people don't appreciate that term homeless because they say, I am not homeless, I am unhoused, because homelessness talks about who they are, and unhoused talks about the situation they are in. So I will go back and forth with those two terms because it is it's vital for us to understand the differences. So there are people who have mental health issues who are currently unhoused because of those mental health issues. Why? Because they can't provide for themselves. They're unable to continue work. They're unable to take care of themselves. And because of their disability, they live out in the streets, either by choice or by forced choice. Those individuals can't be treated the same as individuals who, because of different reasons, mainly the one I've heard the most is lack of affordable housing. For many different reasons, they have found themselves living in a trailer or a RV or on the streets in a tent.
So what policies would you implement to tackle this issue?
So it's not so much about the policies, because we have policies out there. It's about the way we implement those policies. As we discussed before, there were billions of dollars that were thrown at the homeless situation, and we don't know where that money has gone. So if those policies had been implemented with a smoother transition than we had, we wouldn't have as many people on the streets as we have today. So we need accountability. We need leadership that understands that they are stewards of other people's resources. And then we need to properly identify the needs of those individuals who we traditionally call homeless.
So you're saying pretty much same thing, have accountability for where those
Most
funds are targeted.
Yes.
And I agree with you in that regard. And I also say this about the homeless population. There are a lot of homeless people that don't want housing. I talk to them and say, hey, if I can get you into a program, would you go? And they don't want to go.
Right.
Some of them would just rather be out there in the streets, and I think a lot has to do with, and they're getting money. So they're getting some money, but they choose to live out there in the streets. And in my conversation with a lot of them, they tell me that it's too high, the affordability issue.
Yes.
Have there been conversations about affordability?
Most definitely. So the conversations that I've had with some of the unhoused people in the homeless population are centered around the cost of living. So the example, I've received many examples, but one in particular, an individual said, well, yes, there's housing out there, but if you ask me to give up my dog, who is my family and the only family that I've consistently had throughout my life, and the only way I can go into your new house is to give up my family, then I can't do that. So that in his particular situation, the housing that's available and may be affordable doesn't suit his needs, because we all need to be able to have connections. And then there are those individuals who say, well, yes, I can pay, I'm only getting $750 a month. The rent for a studio is $1,000 a month, so do the math. So yeah, we have to look at all the different situations. And like you said, there are some people who don't want to be in traditional housing. So how can we be able to meet the needs of those individuals that wish to live in non-traditional housing, but still understand that they're part of a community that has rules and regulations?
Wow, well put. Ms. Lynch, there's a huge issue right now surrounding public safety, right? And what is your plan in terms of safety reform in the state of California. Because for me, what I'm seeing is that it's out of control. The public safety issue is out of control. There's not enough officers out here to even deal with issues that may arise. Like you may call the police, you may have somebody down here getting stabbed or getting beat up, and you call the police and the police don't even show up.
Yes.
Because they're undermanned.
Right.
Not that they don't want to come and police anything, or just that don't have the personnel to tackle those issues. So public safety is a big issue, particularly here in our community. Tell us what your plan is to kind of curb that.
So my plan is to get back into those communities. Where it really hits home for me is when I was growing up in South Central Los Angeles, we never had police come into our neighborhoods to police us or help us with public safety. We policed ourselves. So we had community individuals who understood who lived in the neighborhood and who didn't. And when there were people who were causing problems that didn't live in the neighborhood, they would know who to go to say, hey, are these your people? And if so, can you come and help police them? We have to get back to getting community involvement within the communities, because one cop is not going to be able to solve all of the crime issues. 2 cops, 3 cops, we have to solve them. We have to get involved because those are our children. Those are our people. We have to be the change and get involved.
And I agree. I think we do have to play a more active role within our communities with our children. Get back to teaching our kids, talking to our kids, and letting them know the things to do and not to do. But I also think there's a bigger role that our public safety officers need to play as well. Because you too are from the community.
I am.
You too represent the community. You too swore and took an oath to protect the community. And what's going on is a lot of our kids are afraid of the police. Our communities are afraid of the police. And so we need to do a better job of, one, having visibility in the community, be a part of prevention, not just arrest us when we do something wrong, when they do something wrong, but be visible. Of course, 1 or 2 cops are not going to be the answer. But I think if the community have relationships with officers,
I agree.
I think that will go a long way. There used to be a time where officers would come out to the community and participate with you. Oh, you're playing a basketball game, let me go and participate, let me play. Pass me the ball.
Yeah.
And then they felt more like, okay, they're not just here to arrest us, but they're here to protect us.
Right.
And I think we have to get back to that. Now, we do realize there is a shortage. I mean, right here in Stockton alone, there's a huge shortage of officers.
Yeah, and that's California-wide.
California-wide.
That's statewide. So, and that's why I mentioned that we as community members need to get involved, because we can't wait until we have enough officers. We can't wait until we have the resources. Why? Because the safety issue is here now. So we have to get involved now so that we can be able to get those relationships started instead of waiting for the police who are overworked to come to us. We can go to them or start up community programs that include the public safety officers.
Yeah, for example, one of the things that I'm trying to start now, and I'm glad you're here so I can share it with you. Well, we are bringing court kings and court kings to our city, Stockton. And part of the reason for me pushing that is because Court Kings is compiled of a bunch of athletes, street ball players, that some of the best street ball players in the world. And right now they're on a tour. So right now they're in the Philippines, and they're playing in the Philippines, city to city.
Wow.
And so I've forged an agreement with them to bring the Court Kings to Stockton.
That's beautiful.
And so one of the things that I'm trying to do is get our elected officials involved. We want to get a member from each department, the Stockton, the police department, our sheriffs, our CHP, and even our first responders.
Yeah.
So if we can get a one representative from each department and get our officials involved, and then we're going to take some of the finest athletes out of the city of Stockton, and we want it to be a family event. We'll have halftime performances. And that way we're engaging our community, we're engaging our officers,
Yes.
we're engaging our first responders, as well as our elected officials.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things we certainly will, be talking to your office about, just how can we get involved and get our people to support that and get our kids, and let our kids know there are other things that they can do.
Yes.
And so we're looking at doing that sometime in October. We'd love for you to come out and give support to that.
Yes.
And I'll get you information on that. But I think that's a way to involve our officers, to make our community feel more safe, to let them know that they're people just like us.
Right.
And that they care. And I think if we can do that, I think we can go a long way.
I agree 100%.
And so, we wanted to talk a little bit about inclusion, right? Diversity inclusion. And we wanted to ask you, what measures were you like to promote to ensure that we have diversity and inclusion in all aspects of government, because I think a lot of times communities don't feel included, like no one's listening to them. What's your approach on that?
Well, my approach is common sense approach. If you go into the neighborhoods that are traditionally underrepresented, those are the same neighborhoods that traditionally say they feel unincluded. Well, if we get the information that I spoke about previously to them in the timely manner that's necessary for them to feel like they are a part of the decision-making process, we are naturally going to have the diversity come up within the ranks, because we want to make sure that people are properly trained, they have the proper resources, they have the proper education. And if they have all of that, the diversity is just going to happen. It's going to be part of the process naturally. So if we fix the lower level issues, all the other issues will fall in line.
Well, one of the things that when that statement really I wanted to talk a little bit more about inclusion into state and government, right? Because there's a disparity within our diversified communities, in Black and brown communities. And a lot of times, just in my conversations out here and dealing and talking to people about their feelings and what's happening with the government at this point in time, they have a sense of lack of diversity and lack of inclusion into state and government issues. What do you think that your position is on that? Well, how do we include and get more diversity?
Thank you. Coach Bishop, you know what? It's simple. We have to get involved. So one of the things I realized when I started in politics is that I always thought that there was somebody taking care of it, right? And I realized that there wasn't. Why? Because everybody is just as human as the next person. They have just as many, things on their to-do list. They have the same 24 hours that I have. So my expectation was unrealistic.
Oh.
It was unrealistic. Why? Because I expected that somebody else would take up my cause. Well, it's my cause. These are the issues that I felt needed to be championed, so why not champion those issues? We as individuals, once we get involved, we'll see that a lot of the lack of inclusion started with our own beliefs about what was being kept from us. I found that it wasn't that people were keeping things from me, it's that they were busy. Just as busy as I was. So I just needed to get involved.
Get busy.
That's it.
So, it's funny that you say that, but what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a explosion of youth now getting involved in the political arena.
Yes.
And so one of the things I wanted to speak to you about in terms of youth engagement, right? And how do we ensure that we're engaging our youth in politics, right? I know get involved, but sometimes it takes a little more from our leaders to say, hey, we want you involved, right? We have a platform for you. And that's one of the things I think that people really want to hear is, what is the plan to get our kids involved in the political process?
Well, you know, there are quite a few youth programs and organizations that children can get involved in. I am a firm proponent of civics being taught in school. Why? Because there's nothing like learning that you have a right to bodily autonomy. You have a right to say yes and no. You have certain rights that are given to you by God that no one can take away. But you won't know that unless you're taught that. So we as parents can be able to give that information to our children. And if we don't have that information, let's get back, let's demand it from our school systems. Because we used to have civics taught in school.
Yes.
We no longer do. We no longer have that, and we need to get back to that. Yeah.
You know, the political process when it comes to our youth is a big deal. Like I've been seeing they've been bringing young people up to the Senate and speaking on the floor.
Yes. And
so what would be your goal in terms of making sure that our youth voices are being heard, not just at a town hall meeting, but at the highest level of government?
Well, I think there are good practices out there that we can emulate. Certain cities and counties already have youth coalitions that only individuals who are under 18 sit on. So those individuals come up with ideas that affect the youth of their community. I think that's great, because instead of me, my daughter's 16 and she says, "Oh, Mom, you're too old." I'm out of touch. So instead of me trying to figure out what is right for the youth or what their issues are, the youth should come together and have those talks amongst themselves and then bring the issues to the table. And that helps them so that later on when they're grown, they already have the skills.
Right, but when you say bring it to the table, right? So like kids come and they express themselves. But a lot of times in my conversations with a lot of youth, they say, "Well, Coach, you know, my voice isn't being heard." So really, I understand that they are rallying, the kids are coming together, kids are wanting to have their voices heard, but feel like they don't have an inside track to be heard, right? Meaning, like, can they call, say, your office and say, "Hey, you know what? We got some issues, we got some concerns. Can you give us a platform that you can hear our concerns?"
Most
I think that's really, really important for our kids. And we're trying to do that, but we also want to know what other resources and options do they have, because we want to get behind it. We want to know that we support Ebie, you know?
Yes.
I mean, but their voices have to be heard. And
Most definitely.
that's one of the things I got calls today about that, saying, "Coach, can you ask that question?"
Yes.
And so I'm asking that question.
Well, thank you for asking that question. And my doors are always open. I believe that it's important to always have an open door policy so people can feel like they have the avenue to be able to even just ask the question. Because if they can't even ask the question, like you said, they're always going to feel like they're not heard.
They're not heard, yes.
So my doors are always open. But better than that, within the local government, if there's an individual that represents you that doesn't have an open door policy, understand that you can petition to get that person out. That's the beauty about
serving and
because they are public servants. They're there to serve the public, and specifically the public within their local government, if that's the office they hold. So Start from the local government, work your way up if necessary. I was in the military for over 24 years, and we are all about that chain of command, but understand you don't have to start anywhere. You can start where you like, but it's usually better to start from local and move your way up.
You heard it from Ebie. Start where you are, get involved, let your voices be heard. Go to the government, go to the your local politicians.
Yes.
Tell them what your concerns are. Mm-hmm. Go to the meetings and have a voice. Yes. That's how you get involved. There's no special way. You just got to get out there and you got to have your voices heard.
Yes.
Be relentless. And while we talk about relentless, let's talk about collaborations, right? Okay. Let's talk about how do you propose to collaborate local governments, right? To collaborate with local governments and things of that nature. And how do you propose to work with the local governments to implement, policies effectively?
Well, I believe that any representative of government must understand that they are representing the people. So if we put the people's needs first, it doesn't really matter what I believe or what somebody else believes. It has to be good for the people. Why? Because our Constitution outlines who we serve, right?
Yes.
We, the people. So we have to put aside, whether it's party politics or individual concerns, and look at what's going to be the overall need of the people. And just like when I was in the military, we put the mission first, and that's our number one mission, serving the people.
Yes, serving the people.
Okay.
And that's interesting. You did 28 years in the military?
24. Oh,
24 years. Let's most certainly acknowledge and take our hats off for your service.
Thank you.
And that's huge. I've never met a woman who's been 24 years in the military. My sister was a Marine Corps. She was in the Marine Corps. She was a military police officer. Okay. So that was my closest relationship to someone serving in our armed forces. And so we certainly commend you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're happy to discuss that. So our final thoughts, right? If you would leave the voters something with one message about your campaign, what would that message be?
Well, my tagline for my campaign is California, kiss it, right? Give a California kiss. And what does kiss mean? It means keep igniting Savior's spirit, right? I believe that every time we take the time to put God first and pray for our nation, pray for our state, pray for our counties, pray for our children, pray for our leaders, we ignite the spirit that is truly the spirit of California. So California, go back to the basics of knowing your neighbor, doing something instead of asking for something. Give. It's better to give than receive. We have to put in the work so that we may be able to receive whatever it is that we are able to reap from that hard work. So keep igniting Savior's spirit and keep making sure that whatever it is, we're one nation under God. Yeah.
Now, that's awesome. And so, Ms. Lynch, what would you tell, what message would you tell young ladies that look like you, or young men who look like you, who would like to pursue a career in politics and just a career in anything? What message do you want to leave with your viewers that may want to have some aspirations to do the very thing that you're doing right now?
Just do it. I'd say get up and do it. Start from wherever you're at. You don't have to have the best education. You don't have to have the best of anything. Just get involved. When I started, there were a lot of doubts. And I think for most people, we start off with doubts.
Yes.
But the way you get rid of the doubts is to just walk the path and do it. Once you start, you realize that everybody that's already involved is just like you. You think all these people are smart.
And you heard it right here, the Coach's Lounge with Miss Ebie Lynch. And get behind, if you don't know anything about Miss Lynch, do your research. Check her office out. Follow her on her social media. How could they follow you, Miss Lynch?
So I have a website at www.eb, that's EBIELYNCH for California.com. That's eblynch4california.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn at Ebie Lynch, hashtag Ebie Lynch. So I hope if you have any questions, just leave a comment.
You heard it right here, at Coach's Lounge with Coach Bishop. If you want to reach out and you want to participate in her campaign, Ms. Lynch's campaign, she just gave you information where you can reach out and talk to her, let her know what you would like to do, or just speak to her anyway. Just you want to give her a call her office, see what she's doing, and I'm going to make a pledge for you guys to come out and support Ms. Lynch as she tackles on one of the highest positions in the state of California, Lieutenant Governor of the state of California, y'all. Come out, vote for her, support her, get involved in the campaign. If you need more information and you don't want to contact her directly, you can contact us right here at the Coach's Lounge. You can go to our IG, Coach's Lounge 209. You can tap into our Facebook as well. Any information that you may need, or you just want to get involved in politics, give us a call. I want to take this moment to thank you so much, Miss Lynch. It's been a great interview. I knew when I met you in Sacramento that it was going to be awesome.
Thank you.
And so much wish you nothing but the most success.
Thank you.
And of course, we're here to support you as much as we can. And I hope that you will extend another opportunity as you get going in your campaign to come back and talk to us and let us know where you are and what you need from us.
Well, you know what? I would love volunteers. California is a large state. We are the 5th largest economy in the world. And there's a reason why, because we're one of the largest states in the world, in the nation. So if you have time and opportunity and want to get involved in politics, we would love to have you because there's so much to learn and it's a wonderful time, wonderful opportunity. So just go onto the website and sign up, www.eblynch4california.com.
You heard it right here, www.eblynch.com. Make sure you tune in. Was there something else? I'm sorry.
For California.
For California, you guys. And it's been a great day. It's been very exciting and rewarding for myself. And we're looking forward to our next episode and the next time we meet with Ms. Lynch. And hopefully we'll be in the victory lap riding with Ms. Lynch. Thank you again, Ms. Lynch. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Come back again, yes. Now we're going to get to some wings and some things so we can take care and feed Ms. Lynch today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.